CNBC TV18 is Zad and Jar, and we're here to visit the facilities of Welspun World. We'll get an exclusive chat with Mr. Goenka to find out his vision for the group for the next few years. Well, Mr. Goenka, in the 1980s, you put in an investment of around 20 lakh. And today, you're heading the group's market capitalization is at around 45,000 crore rupees. Well, could you take us through the journey, and what's the vision you have for the company from here on?
So Nigel, last almost 4 decades has been very, very exciting. And our country has given us many opportunity. As you see, Welspun name, we started as a textile company.
Yes.
And we want to spin well and do well. And when we started, it was a dream to become one of the largest companies in home textile. And I'm today happy to tell you that in less than 4 decades, we are globally, largest company in towels and one of the largest in home textile.
Right.
And all this was possible primarily, it's a vision was one thing, but I think today we have 40,000 people behind us, Welspunite, who's working day in, day out across the globe. And that is the reason where we are today. And when we see our journey, when we started, I just want to give you one small example. Welspun is one part. At the end, we are representing our country called India. And when we started exporting, India was not known for the quality, delivery, commitment on the price. And I can, remember those days that how critical and how difficult was those days when you're exporting the towels or the bedsheet from India.
Indeed.
And it was like you are the brand ambassador for the country. And I think that is where our journey started, and where we are today is because of all our commitment today.
Well, Mr. Goenka, you seem quite satisfied with how the last 4 decades have gone. But what the market wants to understand is, what is your vision ahead? Because you seem to be hitting the right spots. But what kind of delivery are you looking at in terms of revenue for the group, in terms of market capitalization? Where do you see the group headed, give and take all the investments that you've made across textiles to piping to infrastructure as well?
So 3 years back, Nigel, we had a visioning exercise at a group level, which we do every 5 years, what we have to do next 5 years. And we saw that we have been so much concentrating on export market, global market, and when the whole world is looking towards India. And we came out with a new coin that Har Ghar Se Har Dil Tak Welspun. And when we're in so many products, so many different activities, and India is a right market.
Yes.
And we said that we want to be in every heart in India with every Indian, and can we touch 101.4 billion people heart somewhere or the other when we are making Welspun products across our different range, different companies, what we are doing. So we are very clear that we came out with a clear vision of 3G, the growth with governance,
right,
and with the green. When I say green, is sustainability. So we are very clear that how we can become 3x from here, and that growth is only possible when you have right governance and right kind of sustainable effort around you, whatever you're doing.
I'll press you a little bit on the governance as well as on the green aspect later on. But tell us about growth. When you talk about going 3x, what should the group revenues look like? Currently, you are around 40,000 crores odd in terms of revenues, while the group market capitalization is roughly around 45,000 crores. So where does that number go in the next 2 years from here?
So market capitalization is the outcome of whatever we are doing. Let me talk about the growth plans. We have a very clear roadmap for next 3 to 5 years that how we can become from here to 3x.
Okay.
How we can become a 1 lakh crore group at the top level revenues.
Yes.
And we have a plan for our Welspun Corp, where we have a DI pipe, we have a large diameter pipe, we have an expansion in Saudi, we have expansion in USA, we are doing expansion in India.
Right.
And plus, we have recently acquired last year was Syntex, which is a huge growth plan. And we all know that how the overall building material is, and Syntex is a well-known name in the country. I mean, when you talk of a storage tank or water tank, you say Syntex leke aayi.
Indeed.
So Syntex is a very well, it's a synonymous with water tank.
Lovely. So we've got that in terms of a revenue. But I'll have to push you about the market capitalization. I'll tell you why. Because a promoter is normally the best analyst of his own companies. So given that currently you're at around 45,000 crores, if you can get to that goal of tripling your revenues from year on in the next few years, where do you see the group market capitalization headed? Say in 3 years from now, can you see it also hit the 1 lakh crore in terms of market capitalization?
See, as far as market cap is, as I said, it's all outcome of what we are doing. We are going to do whatever is the right thing for the shareholder, unlocking the shareholder value.
Right.
Be it through the governance, be it through the right kind of expansion, be it merging or demerging or selling or buying, whatever is to be done, which can create the values for the stakeholders and shareholders across the group. And when we are talking of 3x of top line, I think automatically it has to reflect somewhere in the market cap.
Got that. You know, governance, that's another point that you made. And that's something that your shareholders and investors, they're looking forward to. Because there is this perception, you know, about various companies. And in a bull run, everyone does well. However, when the markets get a little bit tepid, various groups are left behind. So could you tell us what have you done with regard to governance or to put that perception out that you all mean business, you're going to be rewarding your shareholders, and you're here to do India proud?
So governance is a journey. It's not a one-day story, and it's we have some kind of a 3 decades history behind us. And what we want to do going forward is that each company is independent. Each company is run by independent directors, which are responsible for the growth as well as the right kind of in creating the trust. And moreover, I think it's important that each company is headed by a professional people, so that it's a clear-cut path that how the growth will coming in the future with the right kind of people around you, because ultimately it is people who matters.
Got it. And to get to this revenue growth targets that you're talking about, you'll have to put down money, right? And people get a little bit skeptical when a promoter comes in there, puts in big Capex. So what's the big Capex plan you've lined up for the next few years?
So as you know, I mean, overall, if you see the Capex plan, what we have already announced in various companies, at a group level, we are doing around 10 to 12,000 crores in our home textile, in our pipe businesses, in our Welspun Corp. And as far as Welspun Enterprise with infra companies, it's a different thing, which is like a projects. So expansion plan is primarily in these 2 companies, which is going to taking the shape in next 2 to 3 years. And from here, how can we, Welspun Corp can have a 3x revenue? How can we, the EBITDA can be become double from here? So that's what our plan is for next 2 to 3 years.
And when you have 10 to 12,000 crores of Capex that's lined up, what is the current net debt number or the net debt to EBITDA number, and where do you see that number headed? You must be having a threshold, right?
Yeah, we have a very clear policy within the group about the debt equity, about the ratios, about EBITDA to debt. And when you see today at a group level, we have a EBITDA of around 4,000 crore plus, and our debt is less than 2,000 crore. So it's a 0.5 to the EBITDA. And I think maximum in the next 1 or 2 years, it can go to 1:1, which is, I think we are very comfortable in times to come.
Well, Mr. Goenka, you briefly mentioned about Welspun Corp, and that's something that the street is quite bullish on. Now, you all just won an order in the United States, and that was a whopping 2,400 crores. But what the market believes is this is just the start, and there is more to come. There could be $1 billion of order inflow in this calendar year itself. Do you concur?
See, I want to tell you one thing, that we are one of the very formidable force in when the US market comes, when the Welspun comes. We are one of the major players in the oil and gas, transportation of oil and gas pipes when it comes. So looking to today's market, US market is quite bullish in the overall pipe market when we talk of particularly from the gas from Permian Basin. And apart from that, there are many new projects coming up in the new energy. Over and above, there's a huge potential from the angle of carbon capturing.
Right.
So we feel very comfortable. I think we have bidded for many projects. I mean, I can't say anything like today at this juncture, but in a overall market size of more than $3 billion, I mean, you go on bidding and something you win, something you don't win. So it's very difficult to say what is going to happen, but we are in a good position in US.
Well, but it wouldn't surprise you if you won a big order before the end of this fiscal, amounting to close to around $1 billion odd. That's what the market believes.
I mean, we have bidded for, as I said, more than $1 billion projects. I mean, what comes, what not comes is very difficult to say that, but we are looking good in many of them.
All right, since you'll have such a good position in the United States, do you think that maybe at some point of time you could be looking at listing this entity in the US? Could that be something on your mind?
Not really. I mean, at this juncture, there's no plans.
Well, Welspun Corp has close to 31% stake in the Middle East business. What's the plan out there? Do you plan on divesting that 31%? Or do you believe that it depends on the size of the check? Then maybe you'll sell that out.
No, not. That's really, I mean, as you know, we are one of the global players in the oil and gas market. And Saudi or Middle East is a very important and strategic market for us. I mean, there is no plan as such like that. But definitely, it's a very important from the angle of our overall strategy in the global market. So it's doing very well. I mean, it's almost booked for next 3 years. And we are one of the, not only the formidable player, but we are one of the first choice for the customer.
All right, very important. Let's talk about Syntex then, because Syntex is something that could be the big value driver from here on. You're putting more than 2,000 crores in that business, and that has a brand recall value. The market size is immensely huge as well. What's your outlook with regard to Syntex? And this is something that the markets are waiting for. What is the outlook? What is the asset turnover? And what could be the EBITDA profile of this business? Because you're putting big money in here.
So, well, Syntex is as you know, is synonymous with when you talk of storage tank, water storage tank, you say Syntex layout. It's synonymous with water tank. And it's the oldest and the first, I mean, who created the water tank. It's a 50-year history behind Syntex. And it's a very well-known brand. And as Welspun, when we acquired a year back, I think we have a huge plan behind it. When we see the Indian market today, the building material market, whether it is PVC, OPVC, CPVC, all kind of water-related pipes and businesses, we see a huge potential. And market is growing almost like 15 to 20% every year. And we see a potential in that. And accordingly, we have already announced a Capex plan of more than 2,500 crores in next 3 years. And where we will be coming out a complete bouquet of the whole related items, which is building related items like all kind of pipes, fittings, adhesives, storage, water storage tanks. So it is a. I think we are in our overall portfolio of group. One of the things was missing was B2C brand. I think Syntex has given us that, and in next 3 years' time, we feel that we will be growing that business more than 20%. In next 3 years' time.
So asset turnover of around 2 times, could it be a 5,000 crore revenue potential with margins of mid-teens? Would that be a target that you have?
I mean, that's the fair target for our team. We are going to have it, and it may happen in 3 to 5 years' time.
Do you think at some point of time the value of Syntex itself, since it's in building products and it gets a higher multiple, do you think you can unlock value, maybe list it separately once it starts ramping up in terms of revenue, and maybe that asset could be far more valuable?
I mean, whatever's going to be right from the angle of shareholder. As we all know, B2C multiples are different. There's a different kind of product, and this is a 100% subsidiary of Welspun Corp. And at the right time, whatever is good for the overall shareholder, unlocking the shareholder value, we will take whatever necessary or whatever the decisions, board will take that time, and we'll do the right thing, which will create value for everyone.
Well, Welspun Corp, between FY24 and FY25, there's not going to be much growth because you're waiting for those orders to come in from the United States as well. But now you have a ductile pipes business that will fire. Syntex as well will gradually start contributing, and the US business will start ramping up. Put everything together for FY26, can we expect the EBITDA number for Welspun Corp be closer to around the 3,000 crore mark? Would that be gettable?
I think whatever the projects, whatever the expansion plan we have announced, we are very good to go around 15 to 20% growth all around, whether it is top line or EBITDA. And we are quite confident when we see the Indian market for the DI pipes, when we see our US businesses, when we see our Saudi businesses, and moreover, the Syntex is also coming up well. So I think all put together, we are in a good position.
And what about you have another smaller listed entity, Welspun Specialty, the stainless part of the business. That is a niche one, you have turned it around. Could you be looking at folding that business into Welspun Corp?
I don't think so. I mean, it's a business which is very, very special. And in recent past only, we could turn it around. And it has been making losses for many years. And today, we are proudly, I can say that this is a company which is looking for the new business, which is under the Atmanirbhar government policy, Make in India, whether it is for nuclear, whether it is for defense, whether it is for power. I think we are in a good position in times to come in that business, particularly in stainless steel and related items.
So you believe it has a niche? You'd rather not merge it into the Welspun
I mean,
Corp?
Definitely it's a niche market, and it's already a separate listed company, and which is already reflecting the value.
Well, Mr. Goenka, as we get into the end of any calendar year, the big question is what is the recovery in the United States? And you get some sound bites coming in from Costco as well as from Walmart. They are indicating that things are on the mend and demand is strong. The US market is very important for you. I think out of every 4 towels that are sold, 1 comes in from Welspun, and every 7 bedsheets that are sold, 1 comes in from Welspun. So you'll have a proper sense about demand out there. Are you seeing signs of demand recovery?
Well, US is very important market, as you said, very, very important for us. And it's the largest market in the world for the home, for anything that matters. I think, and when we see the current demand, I think you can see around here, we are fully running 100% at 100% capacity. So the US market is looking good in times to come.
All right, so it's good news then that the US demand is strong. Also, everyone's been talking about the China plus one. And Bangladesh as well has got into a lot of political instability of the recent past. How big an opportunity it is. We'll come back to the B2C business here in India, but as of now on the global stage, India has a big role to play.
So India is already playing a big role, particularly when we talk of home textiles.
Right.
I think we are already a major market share. When we talk about US, it's 50% market share. In US is from India.
Yeah.
Out of that, we are 25% market share. So China plus one story is definitely there. But when you talk about home textile, I think we have a much better and a stronger presence as a country, as a company.
Let's talk about the B2C part of the business. You briefly spoke about it at the start of this interview. Could you tell us how big can that business grow? The industry is growing at a sharp clip. So for Welspun Living, how big can the B2C domestic part of the business become?
So as you know, Indian market, particularly when we talk about home market, is growing at a rate of more than 15%.
Yeah.
And post GST, when we see the whole consolidation happening, everybody's aligned, I think we are seeing a huge advantage for a company like us.
Yeah.
And I can say today, we are growing at a rate of more than 20% per annum in the domestic market. And we have a clear-cut target to become, like you said, every 4 towels sold is sold by Welspun. Same way, 25% of the market share in India. In next 3 years, we are trying to capture it.
So what would that mean in terms of a revenue number for the B2C part of the business?
So currently, we have around 600 crores of domestic market under the brand of Spaces as well as Welspun.
Yeah.
And I think that is growing at a rate of 20% CAGR. So in a 3 years' time, it will become double. And I think in the 5 years' time, it will become 6 times from here.
All right, 6 times from here. So it'll be more than a 3,000 crore business in 5 years from now. The other smaller part that is housed under Welspun Living itself is the flooring business. Now that's going at a run rate of around 800 to around 1,000 crores on an annual basis. How do you see that business shaping up? Because there is a big push as well for the flooring segment.
So it's a new product for the market. Initially, we had some struggling. I think it's settling down.
Okay.
And we are seeing a good potential in times to come. We are growing at a rate of 10 to 12% there.
Yeah.
As you said rightly, we are doing around 1,000 crores. But mostly it is coming out of the export. And domestic market, we are still at a very small, overall small percentage of the whole revenue. But I think in time to come, that will grow.
Any numbers you want to give us?
Currently is only 15% domestically, 15 to 20%. That can go to 40% overall in time to come with the overall export and domestic mix.
Welspun Living at a capacity utilization level, what are you functioning at? And when is the next stage of capacity addition that you're going to announce?
So we are running around 85% plus right now. Overall home textile as a group.
Yeah.
And we already announced about the expansion of towels. We are adding the new range of towels for the beach, for the kitchen, the whole range.
Yeah.
Where we are going to invest around 400 crores in going to be commissioned by early next year. That will be adding another capacity by 15%.
Okay, all right. And also, another quick question is the promoter entity, they went and sold a small block in the recent past. I think the holding was little over 70%. It came down a little bit. Any further plans to divest some stake? And what was the reason that you sold that?
Primarily, as you know, we are holding 70% plus. And it is also part of the liquidity to create the right kind of liquidity in the market. And whatever the need for our own expansion plan in our different areas, I think that was a need. And we already said that next year or so, we are not going to further divest in our stake.
Let's talk about Welspun Enterprises, Mr. Goenka. There's a big opportunity out there. And you are present in two key spaces, that's the transportation and the water EPC. Could you tell us what is the total market addressable size and how much do you all want to grab?
Well, it's a huge opportunity, and today when we talk about growth of GDP around 7 to 8%, if India is going to grow at that rate, I think in that infra is going to play a major role. And when we talk of infra, within infra, the water is a major issue. And what already the government of India has announced that every village, every household in the country has to have a tap water, Nal Se Jal. So there's a huge opportunity there. There's an opportunity of waste treatment plant. There's an opportunity of transportation of potable water across cities. So this is an area where I think we are focusing in a great bit, and we are looking forward for a reasonable market share in a how we can bring India on the water story when water story is being talked on, particularly on the technological side.
Right. So 3 trillion, I think each is the opportunity. Rupees 3 trillion. Is that a rough estimate we should work with?
The cake size is big enough for everybody to play. I think each player of us has to see that what you want to do it. I mean, the business is not an issue. Issue is that within that business, what you want to do and can create maximum value out of it.
And you all have also chosen the inorganic route. So tell us a little bit about that.
So we acquired recently a company called Michigan, again from the angle of water. They are specializing into microtunneling, and which is the requirement for the large cities, existing upgrading of the existing sewage pipeline and other networking of the pipeline. So we are focusing primarily on a very specialized part of it through that acquisition, and we are quite bullish about it.
Well, Mr. Goenka, we have touched on the growth aspect, governance, and the third factor you mentioned was green. You all as a group have taken various initiatives on the green side of things. Tell us as a group level, what's the motto and what are the steps that you all have taken?
So when I said 3G, growth, governance and green, green means the sustainability. Whatever we are doing for our own planet, how we can be part of tomorrow's, what we can do better for tomorrow. And accordingly, for each and every activity what we are in at a group level, when you talk about Welspun Living, I mean, by next year, we will be almost 70% of our power coming from green. By 2027, it will be 100% green. Our recycling of water, the water intake, the fresh water intake is zero. Mm-hmm. And what you see here is another example of water that how we are already using rain harvesting. With the solar panels. So if you see the overall, there is a complete clear-cut roadmap in case of Welspun Living that by 2030, that how we can do the recycling of fiber, how we will be 100% renewable energy, no, let's say carbon footprint whatsoever. We'll be zero carbon footprint across all our in our product manufacturing. When we talk about Welspun Corp, yes, there is definitely a steel involved, carbon is involved, but we have a roadmap for going up to 40% of renewable, and wherever we can reduce, we have a complete roadmap so that we become one of the top companies within the steel industry, within the plastic industry, within our existing activity, whatever we are in, so that we can be number one on the top of the index when we talk about recycling or green power.
All right, Mr. Goenka, you have got a vision for the Welspun Group. India is on its way as well to a $10 trillion economy. What would your message be for every Indian out there?
I think today, being Indian, we are all lucky to be in this space. I think India is give us a lot of opportunity, and each one of us, if we don't grab this opportunity, we will be missing out the bus. I think looking to that, we have created a new motto. We have been looking towards the export market, toward the global markets, but I think next 5 years to 10 years, we see the growth of India is going to be 7 to 8%, and in that growth, as Welspun World, as Welspun Group, we want to participate, and we have created a new logo, new motto called Har Ghar Se Har Dil Tak Welspun, that how we can touch 1.4 billion people's heart with our various product offering, what we are doing at a group level.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Goenka. Wishing you all the best. Thanks a lot for speaking to us here on CNBC TV18.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.